Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Maliki Young Pot died inside my chest, ladies and gentlemen. So, I am trying something for the very first time on my channel. I am analyzing a chess 960 game. So as you guys do know, we have the champion showdown going on. So I have Wesley So versus Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. And let me fix this because this is bothering me. Let me make sure this is. I'm just gonna tweak some things real quick. Just give me 1 second. I want Maxime Vachier-Lagrave's name to be on top of the picture and not below. So it works. Okay, cool. Because the little M was hidden here. So, as I said before, I have never analyzed a chess 960 game, and the crazy thing about it was this was the longest that it's ever taken me to prepare a single video. I've been working on this video for about 5 hours. I could not find a website or an analysis board that I could actually put I can actually set up the board correctly and also make sure that you have castling abilities. So it took me a very, very long time to figure that out. I finally did. I just didn't give up. I wanted to give up. I was like, man, you know what, forget this. I'm going to just do a regular game. But I was like, no. If a Gad Matter can do it, I can do it too. So it's not as good, but I did figure out how to do it, so it's legitimate enough. And I kind of got the board pretty much the same as it is normally. So I do have the round 1 game between Wesley So and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave for the champion showdown 960, or as it's shown, 9LX, which is Roman numeral for 60. So yes, for all my people in the Philippines, I will say mabuhay to you. Kamusta na aking makaibigan? Masaya akong makikinig muli. Maraming salamat po sa nanonood ng aking mga video. Appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Anybody who is from France or who does speak French, I will say bonjour to you. It is in the super morning, so bon appetit déjeuner. Ça me fait plaisir de te voir, mes amis. Merci beaucoup. Appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. You know, I know you guys haven't seen me recently. You know, I kind of just took a little bit of time off. I went on like a little small trip real quick. You know, just took a little days to kind of just relax and chill and, you know, kind of rest myself. I do a lot on a daily basis. So, you know, everybody needs a break at some point. So, if you guys are ready to go after my long-winded situation, you guys know I don't ever talk this long, but there's some things I had to address and say. But if you guys are ready to go, let's take a look and see what we have for this game. So we got B4. And as you guys know, this is chess 960, so we don't have an actual name, you know, for these openings because the pieces are all different. But I mean, you guys that are familiar with like the orangutan opening as white, this will probably be most similar to that because the orangutan or Polish, it does open with B4. So, I mean, that's kind of that. And so, I mean, it's at least probably after these 2 moves, we have a brand new game. This is the novelty of the situation. Just kidding. But we do have D6. We got C4. And then we have E5. It's not possible to stop D4. But, you know, maybe if white makes an alternate move, you know, maybe you might make it kind of less desirable or something to play D4. But Wesley So just says, I'm playing D4, bro. So D4 comes, pawn takes D4, queen takes D4, and then we have knight to C6. And queen comes down to B2. And, you know, this is multi-purposeful. It is protecting this pawn that we have here. I mean, the bishop is doing a good job of doing that as well. But, I mean, it just puts the queen in a really nice, like, comfortable little spot. So knight comes to E6. And then we have knight to E3. And so both sides are just trying to develop their pieces and kind of, you know, influence the center. I mean, the thing about chess 960 is it definitely isn't as easy to play as regular, you know, as like the regular normal chess setup. But I mean, all of the same principles are still pretty much going to apply. You know, you're going to want to, you know, take care of the center. You know, you're going to want to make sure you support your pawns and stuff like that that are in the middle. You know, you do want some opening lines. You know, for your bishops and stuff like that. So, you know, you can definitely carry over your chess principles. There's not going to be any theory carrying over. So you are pretty much playing the game from the very beginning, like just, you know, off of your like positional understanding. But bishop comes to G5. You know, Wesley So, he does kind of have his knight pinned to the rook, but Wesley So just says he doesn't care. And he goes knight to d5, giving up the exchange. So the bishop takes on c1, queen takes c1, and we do have castles. I do want to back up just for a second. After we see bishop to g5, the computer actually really likes knight to c3. Full well understanding that after bishop takes e3, pawn takes e3, but there are a few things that you want to kind of notice about the situation. Yes, you have double pawns in the center of the board that look absolutely hideous, but this bishop is activated. This bishop is going to either come here or here and be activated on these diagonals or something like that. You might can toss a g3, king g2, and a rook to f1 just to add some pressure onto the f7 pawn because, you know, as you guys always know, it is weak. And so, I mean, this is also doing a good job of preventing like the knight from being able to kind of hop into your side of the board. So, I mean, yes, you do have the double pawns, but I mean, you're still looking, you know, pretty okay. But that, like I said, that's not what we saw. We did see, you know, Wesley So give up the exchange. We got b5. You know, why do you want that person's knight to just be like in a nice spot? So back it up. So knight comes back, knight c comes back to d8. And then we have actually reached a point in the game that if you do want to guess the move that Wesley So played in this position, go ahead and do so. Okay, cool. This is actually a really nice idea. For any of you guys that are out there, before I get into this move, if you did so happen to guess knight to e7 with check, then you would still be pretty correct. This is actually the second or third best move. It's like the third best move. It's definitely still like nicely winning. It's just not as nice as the move that Wesley So made. So, you know, of course, you know, you go here and then the king only has one square to go to and you just take the rook. So you get your exchange back. So that was definitely an option. So if you did play that way, don't feel bad. Like, it's not like you got the move wrong or it's not like you blundered or anything. You know, it's just what Wesley So played was actually knight to f6. And this is a really nice piece sacrifice. So if you guess knight to f6, congratulations, because when you notice that this is opening up the king and the queen is definitely about to start creeping in. These bishops are gonna get active and stuff like that. So it's actually really nice. It's really nice for white. So after knight to f6, we do see pawn takes g6 or pawn takes f6, and then queen comes to h6. And after f5, queen comes to f6. I mean, you actually have a lot of danger. The main reason why you have a lot of danger in the position is because these knights are actually really weirdly placed. E6 is not a supernatural square for the knight. I mean, you really kind of want the knight to be here. Like c6 and f6, it's not like you always have to have them on those squares, but they're going to be normally the most optimal squares for the knights to be on. You know, Wesley So took care of that earlier by pushing b5. You know, these knights are just really oddly placed. So after queen came to f6, we did see knight back to g7. We're wanting to shift our knights over to kind of protect the situation because you do see b3, bishop to b3. And as you guys can see, I mean, you're threatening checkmate either on this square or this square. So, you know, black is just in time to be able to defend against that. But as you can see, black is in a very defensive position. And then you see h4. You know, if you let white get too many moves in, this knight is going to be knocked away and this queen is going to land on h8, and that's going to be all she wrote. So bishop takes b5, and it's actually one of the moves that the computer suggests. It's not the top move, but it's a move that you kind of have to make a little bit because you have to really try to free your position up. And the moves kind of have to go in this order. h5, rook c to e8, h6, and then queen coming to d8, challenging the queen. But unfortunately, this is losing you an entire piece. So with that mate threat, you basically made black give up an entire piece. So the combination is pawn takes g7, queen automatically takes on f6, pawn takes on f8, and this equals a queen with check. Knight takes back on f8, and then as you guys will see, bishop takes f6, bishop takes c4, you got knight to c3. You know, white is just an entire piece. Now, you do have, let me see, 3, 6, you do have 3 pawns for the piece. 4, 3, 6, yeah, you do. I mean, you're doing like not the worst as black. You know, you are down the piece, but you do have a lot of pawns. The only kind of little bit of problem is you do kind of have these double pawns here. So it's just a matter of, are you going to be able to really push anything? So white, of course, is trying to make that as difficult as possible. We do have b5, and then we have rook to h4, and it's just discouraging the move b4 from happening because, you know, you're going to be looking at this here, you know, you're just doing good after that, right? So we actually see rook coming down to e6, attacking the undefended bishop. Bishop comes back to c8, you know, and this is actually pretty inconvenient because there isn't really a way to defend this pawn other than pushing it. So we see c5, bishop comes to b3, challenging the bishop, and there really isn't a way for you to move the bishop because you're going to be basically giving up the rook. And so you kind of have to go into this trade. Bishop takes b3, pawn takes b3, and then you have b4. Knight comes to d5, which is actually a much better square for it to be on. And then you have knight down to g6, attacking the rook over there on h4. Rook comes to h3. You see rook taking e2. So, you know, now black has grabbed another pawn. But, I mean, the fact that this king has a lot of dark squares around it is a very huge factor because white does have a dark square bishop. So, you guys will see how that makes a gigantic difference in the situation. Other than that, if white maybe had a light square bishop, then it wouldn't be as great for white. But we do see rook to e3. You know, we don't want to trade down material as black. So rook comes to d2. We see rook to e3 with check. King comes down to g7. We see bishop to f6 with check. That dark square weakness stuff I was talking about. Forces the king over to h6. And then we have knight down to e3. You know, ideally we'd like to check here. And so we see black pushes f4. Then we have knight over to c4. Rook comes up to d3. You know, maybe hoping that we can kind of, you know, like take the pawn over here and try to see if we can force a concession by white. But you're just not quite in enough time. The rook comes over to a8, attacking the lonely pawn over there. We see f3. But this is actually, unfortunately, a horrible blunder. Because it actually puts the black king in a box. Before this point, the black king wasn't really in that bad of a box, but now they are. G4 basically makes it to where, as you guys can see, the king cannot move. So now the problem is that, you know, your king doesn't have any escape squares. So after you were to maybe move, let's say something like knight to e3, knight to f5, you will be checkmating the king. So now we have knight coming to f4, trying to, you know, at least give our king a little bit of space to go to. But Wesley So shuts that down and goes rook to g8. And so as you guys can see, the black king is still in a box. And so after you see knight coming to e6, and then you see knight down to e3, it is in this position that Maxime Vachier-Lagrave resigns the game. But you basically do it because all like possibilities from this point are just like really, really like horrible. If we take this, for example, like, you know, the best, pretty much the only move in the position to prevent the checkmate is to actually take on e3 with the rook. So this is already dire. When you're looking at the situation and you know the only way to save checkmate is to sacrifice your rook for a knight and you're already down a piece. It's just, I mean, everybody's going to pretty much be like, nah, I'm good, bro. Let me just go ahead and let me just go ahead and shake your hand and let's move on. So if we were to see rook takes e3, pawn would take e3, and then you can try to maybe muster up something with c4, giving yourself a pass pawn. And then after the pawn takes on c4, go b3. King comes to f2. But as you can see, like white just has everything taken care of. And it's crazy because the computer actually suggests b2 as the move. But, I mean, you guys just see, I mean, b2 just completely just loses a pawn. So it's not even that great of a move. And going back to what we had before, you know, after we saw rook to g8, you know, you definitely couldn't attack the bishop. So let's say, you know, because like I said, I mean, the bishop is over here by itself. So you're thinking, okay, maybe instead of moving knight to e6, like is knight to d5 an option? It's actually not an option because bishop to g5 is actually checkmate. So, I mean, you're just going to move the bishop and you're just good to go. Like I said before, the king is just stuck in a really, really tight box. So I'm really glad that after like pretty much a half a day of trying to actually produce this video, I was able to do it. And so now I have, you know, the opportunity of being able to do chess 960 in the future. And I'm going to be messing around with this a little bit. This is very similar to what I actually have as the board that I have now. I'm not really too sure like how it'll come out as far as like a video is concerned. I'm not sure about the sounds and just for the look in general. So like definitely leave me some comments and let me know what you guys think about this board and the sounds and things like that. Like if it's cool, like if you guys like it, I'll just keep it. Like I'll just try to see if I can work with it. It seems pretty workable. You know, so I mean, maybe I'll just go ahead and start making some more videos with it and maybe just cut my extra board out because I don't actually use this website for my board. So yes, like I said, leave some comments and let me know what you think about the board and the sounds and stuff like that. And I will see if it's something that I might want to do. I really do like the other board as far as so this is actually the other board. It's not like correct. So let's see. Let me see here. Get that hooked up. You know, this is the original board that I use. And so I really like the colors. And I really like being able to, you know, kind of draw the arrows and stuff like that. I feel like it's just a little bit more convenient for me to use. But like I said, I mean, you know, if you like this board and you like just kind of the way the video looked, definitely let me know. And I will see about trying to just use it in the future. So I might poll it. I don't know. But I appreciate you guys very much. Maraming salamat aking makaibigan. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. And I will see you guys next time.